The story of Indian Constitution is almost of 350 years. And if I say I am going to tell the entire story, that is not possible. But then we have different competitive exams and we need to know few very important dates. So what I have done here is I am trying to discuss few very important timeline when it comes to Indian Constitution. Hey guys, welcome to my legal classes. This is Ganesh Pujari and in the series of Indian Constitution, here in this video I am going to discuss the important timelines when it comes to Indian Constitution in three different segments, and I hope that will help you. And with that I am taking you to slide number 1. In the beginning, I said it is the story of 350 years, and if we try to understand all 350 years in one shot, it becomes hectic. So what I have done here, I have divided these timelines into three major parts as during East India Company rule, which starts from 1601 to 1857, and then during the rule of Crown, that is 1857 to 1947, and then during independent India rule, that is starting from 1947 to 1950, and it is still continuing. So this is the story of Indian Constitution, and we have to understand these three important timelines. So here we are approaching one by one. In my next slide, let us try understand what happened during East India Company rule. Among the three important timeline series, the first starts with East India Company rule timeline. Now, if I ask you a simple question that why did British East India Company came into India, you all know the answer, with the purpose of doing trade. But did they limit to trade only? No, they have extended to many other activities, and in the year 1601 to 1609, Queen Elizabeth also granted a certain level of permission to do limited rules in India. And then comes two important charter acts, Charter Act 1687 and 1726, with which we got three mayor courts. Earlier in the year 1687, we got mayor courts in Madras, but then in the year 1726, it was extended to two other places, that is Bombay and Bengal. So by the end of 1726, three places had mayor's court, that is Bombay, Bengal and Madras. You should know answer for this question also. And after that everything was going good, but by the year 1773, the British government felt that the East India Company is taking lot of control over Indian territory, so they brought Regulating Act 1773 to control East India Company's rule in India, as well as to control the officials of the East India Company. After the Regulating Act 1773, again two more acts came into picture, that is Act of Settlement 1781 and the Pitt India Act or the East India Company Act 1784, and both of them came with an attempt to correct few of the mistakes that were being made in the Regulating Act 1773 and gain control over the East India Company. So British government basically wanted to take control over the East India Company, so they brought two more acts. They are Act of Settlement in the year 1781 and the Pitt India Act or the East India Company Act in the year 1784. Then if you see the serial number 7, that is the St. Helena Act or the Charter Act of 1833, and serial number 8, that is the Charter Act 1853. Now if you observe the years, for every 20 years there was one Charter Act, and with that Charter Act, British government used to extend the East India Company's rule over India by another 20 years. That was the character, like 1793, then 1813, then 1833, then 1853. So that was the sequence. After every Charter Act, the East India Company would get another 20 years of rule over India. But here, another important aspect that you need to observe with the Charter Act of 1833 is the first Law Commission came into existence in that Charter Act, and then in the year 1853, the second Law Commission came into existence. the only very interesting aspect that you need to observe from the Charter Act 1853, which is very, very significant, that there the 20 years contract was not mentioned. That means there the timelines was not mentioned, which means they might had an indication that some or the other day the rule of East India Company over India has to come to an end. I'm not sure about that, but that is my thinking. But however, on the other side, what Lord Dalhousie was doing, he passed this doctrine of lapse. That means the adopted sons had no power to take control over their territory. Now, adopted sons were not valid as per Lord Dalhousie, and that started creating lot of disturbance in Indian scenario. And then you know what happened in the year 1857, which will be continuing in my next slide. But then you need to understand that from 1874 the British East India Company lost its control over India and Crown directly took the powers. So we became British Raj from 1874, and that story we will understand in our next slide. Here again there can be one question as to which act ended the British East India Company rule over India. Your answer should be Act of Parliament 1874. This particular act ended the East India Company rule over India in the year 1874, but it was not extended till 1874. Everything started changing after 1857, and what happened in 1857, let's see in our next slide. What happened in the year 1857? Every Indian should know answer for this question. It was the first war of Indian independence, and the British called it as Sepoy Mutiny, and Mangala Pandey is the hero of this entire episode. This one episode started bringing lot of changes in Indian scenario, and the first among that was the Government of India Act 1858, which ensured that the East India Company rule over India came to an end, and the direct rule from the crown, that is Queen Victoria, started in the year 1958. Now in the year 1861, the Indian Council Act came into scenario, and to bring peace and good government in Madras Presidency and Bombay Presidency, the legislative powers has been restored to them. So this was one big change which came in the year 1861 via the Indian Council Act. The next three serial numbers, that is serial number 4, 5, 6, that is the Indian Councils Act 1892, the Indian Council Acts 1909, or famously known as Morley-Minto reforms, and the sixth serial number, that is the Government of India Act 1919, that is based on the references by Edwin Montagu and Viceroy Chelmsford. Now these are the three very important aspects that you need to remember, because with these three acts, lot of political power started to hand over to the Indians in different ways. The first Council Act gave a power of elect, select or delegate their representatives, and the second two acts, that is the Indian Council Act 1909 and the Indian Government Act 1919 or the Government of India Act 1919, gave lot of power to participate in the government activities of India to the Indians. So these are the few important aspects which happened between 1892 to 1919. Then comes the Simon Commission 1928. Simon Commission came into India during 1927 to basically report on the progress based on the Government of India Act 1919, and the report was given by Simon plus 6 other members, which was not accepted by Indians, and Indians reported against the Simon Commission report via Nehru Committee Report 1928. And during 1929, that is to be precise on 26 January 1929, the Indian National Congress proclaimed the Declaration of Indian Independence. Now that is a very important date that you need to remember. When did INC proclaim the Declaration of Indian Independence? That is on 26th January 1929. After that, three famous round table conferences happened, that is in the year 1930, 31 and 32, and finally comes the very big act, that is the Government of India Act 1935. This is one of the very important timeline, that is 1935, which saw Government of India Act. Then when the World War was in progress, that is in the year 1942, Cripps mission came into India with the suggestion as to how to solve constitutional issues in India, but Indians didn't like those suggestions and we got into Quit India movement in the same year. In the year 1946, the cabinet mission came, and here the cabinet mission was focused on how to transfer the British government to the Indian leadership. Now the independence was almost certain by 1946 and the discussions were started, and this is one of the major timeline, that is the cabinet mission 1946, where the discussion started as to how to transfer the power from British government to Indian leadership. And finally, as you all are aware, we got our independence on 15th August 1947. That is very important date. Mountbatten played a key role in this entire process, but I will not rate this as good, bad or worst activity because at that particular time the nation got divided into two major parts, or rather three major parts. So we will not get into that discussion now. We will discuss that also in some other time. But now let's move to the third and last timeline. Now remember, the third timeline has not started from 15th August 1947. There were few key activities happened before 1947 15th August also. I am explaining them also because they are very crucial. Though the third important timelines are covered under the heading of during independent India rule, I must say there are many activities happened before we got independence. So out of the 17 serial numbers, the first 6 serial numbers are covering those dates which are prior to getting independence. Why I am covering that under here? Because they are so well connected to the sequence. So let us start the discussion from 6th December 1946. Never ever forget this date, because on this date, that is on 6th December 1946, we got our Constitution Assembly in accordance with French practice. So when did we form our first Constitutional Assembly? It was on 6th December 1946. After 3 days, we called our first meeting, that is on 9th December 1946, but that meeting was not successful because the Muslim League boycotted this meeting because they wanted a separate state. By then, English or the British people were successful to ensure that India is divided. That thinking started coming in, and that was the reason they didn't participate in this particular meeting. Then the third serial number and the fifth serial number has close connection. On 13 December 1946, Jawaharlal Nehru proposed the objective resolution, or what are the underlying principle of the constitution, and later in the year 1947, that is on 22nd January 1947, the objective resolution was unanimously adopted. Now what is this objective resolution? This is very important. This is the one which later became the preamble of Indian Constitution. So serial number 3 and 5 are very important, and many times they were being asked in the competitive exams. The next date, that is 19th December 1946. Now I am discussing serial number 4. This is a very important date. See the progress from 6th December 1946 to 19th December 1946. Already there would been lot of progress, and on that day Rajendra Prasad became the president of the Constitution Assembly of India. And who was the vice president? That was H.C. Mukherjee was the vice president. And you have to observe one another date, that is 16th July 1948, where V.T. Krishnamachari joined as another vice president, or the second vice president to H.C. Mukherjee. Now there were two vice presidents. The first one was on 19th December 1946 and the second one joined on the 16th July 1948. Now who was the constitutional legal advisor? B.N. Rao got selected as the constitutional legal advisor. And how many members were there? Initially there were 389 members, but with the demand for partition it got declined to 299. And how was the combination of 389 members? 292 were representing government provinces, 4 were representing chief commissioner provinces, and 93 were representing the princely states. This was the combination that you need to remember. Serial number 5 we have already discussed, that is on 22nd January 1947 whatever objective resolution which was proposed by Jawaharlal Nehru was unanimously adopted by the Constitutional Assembly. And then in the year 1947, that is 22nd July, we got our national flag, and on 14th August 1947 the proposal for creation of committees is tabled, and 15th August 1947 we got independence, as well as we got split into two nations, that is India and Pakistan. Then on 29th August 1947 the drafting committee was appointed with the chairmanship of B.R. Ambedkar and 6 other members, and on 6th December this committee meets, and in the year 1948 21st February they submitted the draft to the President of the Constituent Assembly. Now 21st February 1948 was the date when they submitted the draft to the President of the Constituent Assembly. Remember that date. Now that we are entering serial number 12. So what happened during 21st February 1948? The first draft was submitted to the President of the Constituent Assembly, and after that there were several discussions, and on 4th November 1948 the draft was finalized and submitted in the Constituent Assembly. Then 1948 and 1949 saw a lot of Constituent Assembly meeting in the open sessions which were open for the public. That is one important aspect you need to remember. On 26th November 1949, Constitution of India was passed and adopted by the Assembly. Now remember, on 26th November 1949, the Constitution of India was passed and adopted by the Constituent Assembly. Then comes the very important date, that is 24th January 1950, where the last meeting of Constituent Assembly was held, and here all the members accepted and signed 395 articles, 8 schedules and 22 parts of Indian Constitution. So what was the original condition of Indian Constitution? It was 395 articles, 8 schedules and 22 parts. And finally on 26 January 1950 the Indian Constitution came into force. I hope that date every one of us remember, because that is the date where we all got our freedom with the form of fundamental rights, etc. So 26 January 1950 the Indian Constitution came into force. So overall if you see, the process took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. There were 165 sittings, in which 114 was on the debate of the draft, and the total money spent to bring Indian Constitution was 64 lakhs. Now these are the general information that you can keep. Now here I have discussed lot of dates. I have not given importance to the people involved. So that is the content for our next presentation. I am going to discuss all those people who were being the part of this entire process. So that brings a lot of interesting aspect, and that is what we are going to understand in our next session. So this session was dedicated only for the dates or the timelines, and I hope you got a lot of timelines. Before concluding this session and handing over to Nishan, I will repeat, this is all based on my research. This is not the end of anything. This is just the start. I am trying to bring as much as content on the screen, but that is not the end. Remember, there was so many work gone behind this Indian Constitution, and I am trying to bring as much as possible. So there were a lot of people involved and lot of stories about them, and I will try to bring few of them in my next video. Until then, if you have anything related to Indian Constitution, never forget to put them in comment. So I will go through that, and if I can add in my next video or any other video, I will try to bring that aspect also, because Indian Constitution is not just a subject, it is our life. With that, I am handing over this presentation to Nishan.
With that, I'm concluding this session. Please subscribe our channel. Please like, share and comment our videos. Thank you. Bye.